Why do so many people who start trading never stick with it? They invest their time, money, and energy, full of hope, only to feel frustrated and defeated. This happens so often that if you spend time in trading communities, you can't help but notice. New traders arrive excited, sharing their wins, discussing freedom, and posting screenshots of their profits. A few months later, those same people disappear without a word. It might seem like the market is against you, but the reality is that most quit because of what's happening inside themselves. Most traders jump in with fantasies instead of a solid plan. They don't understand the market for what it is. They want it to be something it's not. They see it as a shortcut, a fast exit from debts, jobs they dislike, and responsibilities they want to escape. Trading is often marketed as a golden ticket, and people buy into the dream. They envision an easy life where money flows with a few clicks, where their phone turns into an ATM, and where their friends look at them with envy. At first, that dream seems achievable. In a demo account, everything appears simple. You buy and it rises. You sell and it falls, making you feel ahead of the game. That rush of confidence can lead you to believe, I've got this. Now, picture a young man named Musa. He's 21, restless, ambitious, and tired of watching his parents struggle to pay rent. One night, while scrolling through Instagram, he sees a post with screenshots showing $1,000 earned in a single day. That number sticks in his mind. He doesn't know the details of how it's done, but he believes that if a stranger can do it, so can he. The next day, Musa downloads MetaTrader, funds his first account with $100, and dives in. At first, luck is on his side. He doubles his account in a week and feels euphoric. He can't stop imagining how to turn $100 into $1,000, then $10,000, and eventually a fortune. He daydreams about cars, houses, and vacations. But then the market shows him reality. A trade that appeared perfect goes against him. He opens another position hoping for a reversal. It doesn't happen. Increases his lot size to recover his losses. Within 2 hours, his account is wiped out. He feels sick, angry, and confused. Instead of stopping, he deposits more money, convinced he just needs one good trade to recover. But the same story repeats. Loss after loss, deposit after deposit, until his savings vanish. In a few weeks, his excitement fades into despair. Musa throws his hands up and declares, trading is a scam. Just like that, another trader quits. But the truth is, Musa's story is common. It's the usual path for nearly everyone who enters the market. What sets people apart is not whether they face the struggle, but how they react. Traders who eventually succeed endure the same pain, losses, and temptations to quit. The difference is their endurance. They press on when others stop. They stick around long enough to learn lessons that many never take the time to understand. So why do many traders give up? One reason is their unrealistic expectations. They believe trading brings quick money, while it actually requires time to master. They think success hinges on finding the perfect strategy, but it's really about learning to control themselves. The market isn't a get-rich-quick machine. It's a mirror. It shows your patience, discipline, greed, and fear. If you act recklessly, the market punishes you. If you are disciplined, it rewards you. But building discipline takes time, and most people aren't willing to wait. Another reason traders quit is the emotional burden. The stress of watching your account balance fluctuate is greater than it seems. People think they can handle it until they experience it firsthand. One day you gain $500 and feel unstoppable. The next day you lose $800 and feel like a total failure. The emotional highs and lows can overwhelm you, and without a strong foundation, you can easily get swept away. Eventually, the exhaustion becomes too much. They convince themselves it isn't worth it and walk away. Here's the cruel irony. Most traders quit right before their potential breakthrough. Trading is like digging for gold. At first, it feels exciting, and you swing the pickaxe energetically. But after hours of digging, you're sore and haven't hit anything. Most people drop the pickaxe and leave. They don't realize the gold was just a few feet deeper. In trading, the gold is consistency. It doesn't appear in your first month or even your first year. It emerges slowly after you've navigated enough mistakes, setbacks, and painful lessons. But since many quit too soon, they never see it. Imagine if Musa had kept going. What if he had slowed down, studied his mistakes, practiced discipline, and viewed trading as a skill instead of a gamble? In a year or two, he could have built consistency. 5 years, he might have mastered his craft, but he didn't last long enough to find out. That's the story for most traders. They leave just before their transformation. Success in trading isn't about being the smartest, fastest, or luckiest. It's about being the one who stays in the game. Every successful trader has scars from their early days. They remember blown accounts, sleepless nights, and the shame of losing money they couldn't afford. But those experiences taught them patience and made them strong enough to handle pressure. The ones who quit never gave themselves that chance. So when people ask why most traders fail, the answer is clear. They quit too soon. They let pain convince them to stop instead of using it to grow. They wanted success faster than reality allowed, and when it didn't come on their timeline, they walked away. The real tragedy isn't that trading is difficult. The tragedy is that people give up right when they are closest to making it work. Because at its core, the market rewards one thing: time spent engaged. The longer you stay, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. And the better you become, the closer you get to consistency. It's not glamorous. It doesn't happen overnight. But it's the truth. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember this: the market is testing you. Every setback is a question. Do you truly want this, or just the idea of it? Most people answer by leaving, but those who choose to stay may find the success that others gave up on. That's why most traders quit before they succeed. They don't lack intelligence or a strategy. They quit because they cannot last long enough to grow. Trading isn't about brilliance in the moment. It's about endurance over time. Yet many people enter this field with the opposite mindset. They seek quick wins, fast profits, and immediate results. They don't understand that successful traders are the ones who persist the longest. They outlast struggles, blown accounts, and psychological pain. Their endurance becomes their advantage. Most quit well before they reach that point. Consider how traders typically begin. The excitement is fresh. They discover the financial markets, perhaps through a YouTube video, social media, or a friend boasting about a quick win. It appears to promise freedom, wealth, and an escape from work or financial hardship. That excitement drives them to open a demo account or even jump straight into a live account. Initially, they may win. Luck often favors newcomers for a short time, leading them to believe they are natural traders. They take on more risk, trade frequently, and neglect risk management. Then inevitably, they lose. They don't just lose money, they also lose emotional stability. That first setback creates a choice: learn from the loss or spiral into self-destruction. Fortunately, most don't learn. They hop from strategy to strategy, hoping the next one will be a magical fix. They never give themselves enough time to master one approach or for probabilities to play out. When losses occur, they blame the system, the broker, or news events. Rarely do they look within, and that's why they quit. Not because the market was too difficult, but because they refused to develop the patience to endure the losses that are part of the game. They thought trading was supposed to be a constant upward slope. In reality, it's a series of rises and falls like waves on the ocean. You don't quit the ocean because of the waves. You learn to swim with them. One of the most overlooked truths in trading is that failure is part of the path. Every professional trader you admire has blown accounts, made catastrophic mistakes, and lost thousands. The difference is that they kept going. They saw every failure as tuition for their trading education. Meanwhile, most people interpret failure as a final judgment on their abilities. They say, "This isn't for me. I'm just not cut out for this," and they walk away. They never realized that failure was not a dead end, but a step they were supposed to climb. Most traders quit before they succeed because they misinterpret the meaning of failure. Imagine two traders with the same skill level. One loses $500 on a bad trade. He thinks this proves he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's wasting his time, and that he should quit. The other trader loses the same $500 but thinks, "This is frustrating, but what did I do wrong? Was it my entry? Was it my position sizing? Was I trading emotionally? If I can find the mistake and adjust, then this loss is worth it." The second trader treats the loss like feedback. He doesn't like it, but he uses it to sharpen his skills. The first trader treats it like a verdict. He lets it define his identity as a failure. That's the difference. Same chart, same skill, same result, but opposite mindsets. That mindset determines who survives. Another reason traders quit too soon is that they underestimate the time it takes to become consistently profitable. When consistency doesn't come quickly, they feel like they're wasting their time. The truth is, trading requires years of practice. Like any skill, if you're not willing to dedicate that time, you'll quit. Ironically, you'll often quit just before you are about to make a breakthrough. This phenomenon appears in countless traders' journeys. They grind for months, maybe a year, fighting through setbacks and slowly improving their discipline. They're on the edge of mastering their emotions and finally creating a system they can trust. But at that critical moment, the pain of losses weighs too heavily. They look at their account balance, they look at their time invested, and they think, this is going nowhere. I give up. What they don't see is that they were inches away from the shift that separates losers from winners. Most people quit at the valley, never realizing the mountain was right ahead. Ego is also an issue. Many traders quit not because they lack potential, but because their ego can't handle being wrong repeatedly. In trading, you will be wrong often. You will lose trades, misread setups, and get stopped out. For those who need to be right, this is unbearable. They can't stomach the idea of looking foolish, admitting mistakes, or facing the reality that they don't control the market. Their ego pushes them to revenge trade, double down, or chase losses. When that fails, their ego pushes them out of the game completely. They'd rather quit and blame the market than stay and admit they have more to learn. Meanwhile, the trader who humbles himself, who accepts being wrong as part of the process, survives. Survival is the name of the game. Fear also plays a huge role in why most quit. The fear of losing money, the fear of looking stupid, and the fear of wasting years chasing something that might not work all contribute. Fear whispers in their ear after every losing trade saying, "You're not cut out for this. Quit before you lose more." That fear kills more trading careers than any lack of knowledge. Here's the truth. If you stay in the game long enough, you will learn. You will improve. You will find your rhythm. But if you let fear drive you out, you'll never get there. Quitting is permanent. Fear makes temporary pain feel permanent, and that illusion causes people to give up. Consider the stories of legendary traders. Almost all of them faced deep failure before success. Some lost millions before figuring out risk management. Others blew account after account before developing discipline. Their journey was ugly, messy, and painful, but they didn't quit. That's why we know their names today. Those who quit never get remembered. Their stories disappear into silence. Success in trading is not reserved for a chosen few. It's for those who don't walk away when it hurts. Another subtle reason many traders quit is comparison. They look at social media and see other traders posting screenshots of big profits. They feel behind, inadequate, like everyone else has figured it out but them. They don't realize that many of those screenshots are cherry-picked or fake. They measure their beginning against someone else's highlight reel, and of course, feel like they are failing. That constant comparison drains motivation. It convinces them that they'll never catch up, so they wonder why they should bother continuing. If they focused on their growth, they would realize they're making progress. Comparison blinds them, and in that blindness, they quit. Then there's impatience. Trading requires a long, slow buildup of habits like journaling, trades, analyzing mistakes, refining strategies, and controlling emotions. These things don't produce instant results. They feel boring, repetitive, and unglamorous. Most people lack the patience for that. They want excitement, the adrenaline rush of quick profits. When the grind of real trading sets in, they get bored or discouraged and quit. The ones who succeed are those who fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. They enjoy learning, discipline, and daily growth. That patience keeps them in the game long enough to see results. The tragic part is that most people quit just before success begins to compound. Trading mastery doesn't grow in a straight line. It's exponential. For months or years, it feels like you're going nowhere, just circling the same mistakes. But eventually, the lessons click, the discipline hardens, and the strategy becomes second nature. Then consistency starts to appear slowly at first, then more and more. If you quit too early, you never reach that compounding stage. You never get to experience the payoff of all your struggle. You endured the pain but walked away before the reward. So why do most traders quit before they succeed? It's not because the market is unbeatable. It's because they misjudge the process. They think losses mean failure when, in fact, losses mean education. They believe that time spent without profit is wasted when it's really laying the foundation. They think their struggles are unique, but every trader faces them. They think success should come fast, when in reality it comes slowly, and because of these misjudgments, they give up. Those who don't quit, who survive, discover that success was always just beyond persistence. If you're reading this, the lesson is simple. Don't quit too soon. The pain you feel, the frustration, the doubt, is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're in the process. Every great trader felt the same emotions. The difference is they stayed, they endured. They kept going when others walked away. If you can do that, you'll eventually reach the place where consistency lives. The market doesn't reward the smartest or the luckiest. It rewards those who refuse to quit. Most traders who quit don't realize that trading is a mirror. It reflects not just the market, but also your mind, emotions, habits, and even your fears. When they look at a losing trade, they see failure. When they experience a streak of wins, they feel invincible. The market doesn't care about either. It doesn't reward your feelings or punish your emotions. It simply moves according to supply, demand, probabilities, and timing. The problem is humans are wired to respond to what they feel rather than what is happening objectively. That wiring is what destroys most traders before they ever reach success. Take impatience. Most people don't quit because they don't know how to trade. They quit because they expect immediate results. They see a month of small losses and think, I'm not cut out for this. They don't give themselves enough time to understand the process, build discipline, or cultivate the mental edge that separates consistent traders from the rest. Trading mastery doesn't happen overnight. It's developed through long nights of studying charts, making small errors, journaling mistakes, and refining strategies. But impatience makes them abandon that process. They quit before the foundations of success are fully built, leaving potential unrealized. Fear is another silent killer. Every losing trade triggers a rush of emotions, anxiety, anger, regret. That fear creeps into the decision-making process, convincing the trader to act irrationally. They reduce their position sizes too much, avoid opportunities, or stay out of the market entirely. Fear doesn't just reduce profits, it destroys confidence. And when confidence is gone, quitting seems like the only logical option. Most traders never understand that fear is a normal part of trading. It's a signal, not a verdict. Those who survive learn to use it as a guide, not a weapon against themselves. They accept it, analyze it, and adjust their strategies accordingly. That's what separates survivors from quitters. Then there's overconfidence, the other side of the emotional coin. Beginners often experience a few lucky trades and start believing they have it all figured out. They ignore risk management, increase trade sizes, chase profits, and inevitably, a single loss wipes out their gains, or worse, blows their account entirely. Overconfidence, just like fear, is a psychological trap. Both extremes, fear and arrogance, push traders toward quitting. They either get scared away or crash out. Balance, patience, and discipline are the antidotes. But many never discover them because quitting happens first. Many traders also quit because they fail to see the difference between effort and results. They believe that if they're working hard and spending hours studying charts, success should come immediately. When it doesn't, frustration builds, and quitting feels like relief. But in trading, effort doesn't always lead to immediate results. The market doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't reward preparation instantly. It rewards consistency over time. A trader who understands this continues improving their skills, even when results are delayed. Those who confuse effort with immediate outcomes quit, thinking the game is unfair, when in reality, the problem is a misunderstanding of timing. Another key reason traders quit is that they tie their identity to every trade. They make a trade, it loses, and suddenly they feel like a failure as a person. They associate their self-worth with money, positions, and account balance. When it declines, so does their self-image. Trading becomes a mirror reflecting not just the market, but their deepest insecurities. This emotional entanglement is deadly. It creates a cycle where losses trigger despair. Despair leads to poor decisions, and poor decisions lead to more losses. Eventually, quitting feels like the only way to escape the negative spiral. Successful traders learn to separate their identity from each trade. They see every entry and exit as data, probabilities, and actions, not a measure of their value as a human being. Comparison also plays a role in driving traders away. Social media presents a distorted picture of reality. Beginners see screenshots of massive profits, think everyone else is winning, and feel inadequate. They don't see the countless losses or the months and years of struggle behind those highlighted successes. This illusion of everyone else's perfection fuels impatience and self-doubt. They start to believe they'll never measure up, so quitting becomes a way to escape embarrassment or perceived failure. But those who persist understand that trading is a deeply personal journey. Progress is measured individually, and comparison is a trap that leads directly to quitting. Financial pressure is another hidden factor. Many traders start with money they can't afford to lose. That pressure amplifies every emotion: fear, greed, frustration, and anxiety. A small loss feels catastrophic, and every market fluctuation becomes unbearable. They are trading under stress, not discipline. Stress distorts judgment and amplifies emotional responses. It pushes traders toward irrational decisions and, eventually, quitting. Traders who survive either start with capital they can afford to lose or develop psychological resilience to withstand inevitable swings without letting them define their actions. Quitting also occurs because traders underestimate the power of small improvements. Trading is not about making the perfect trade every time. It's about making slightly better decisions more often than the last day, week, or month. Those who focus only on immediate perfection get discouraged by mistakes. They fail to see that gradual improvement adds up to mastery over time. Quitting happens because impatience and perfectionism blind them to the incremental progress that eventually leads to consistent profitability. Then there's the allure of easy alternatives. Trading is difficult. It requires patience, discipline, and emotional control. Meanwhile, other paths in life: jobs, online hustles, short-term schemes, offer immediate, visible results. Traders get distracted by these alternatives, comparing the struggle of trading to the simplicity of other endeavors. They see instant gratification elsewhere and decide to abandon the long-term path of trading for the short-term satisfaction of easy wins. This is a key reason why quitting is so common. Trading requires delayed gratification, and humans naturally resist it. The most tragic reason traders quit is that they fail to build a support system. Trading is isolating. When emotions run high and the market fluctuates unpredictably, there's no teacher or guide standing by to provide reassurance. Without mentorship, guidance, or a community to lean on, the psychological burden becomes unbearable. Many traders quit simply because they feel alone, misunderstood, and unsupported. Those who survive either find mentors, join communities, or develop a mental framework strong enough to handle isolation without crumbling. Support is a vital ingredient in long-term trading success. Finally, the main reason most traders quit before they succeed is that they don't embrace the process. Trading is a long journey of trial, error, reflection, and adjustment. It isn't about immediate results. It's about growth, refinement, and resilience. Every loss, every frustrating week, every blown account is part of a hidden curriculum teaching lessons traders can't learn any other way. Most people overlook this. They focus on outcomes instead of growth, short-term results instead of long-term skill. Quitting feels like relief, but it is actually surrender to a process they don't yet understand. Those who succeed embrace the process. They keep going when it's tough. They continue when nothing seems to work. That persistence ultimately leads to consistent profitability. If you're reading this, take it as a wake-up call. The market isn't the enemy. Losses aren't proof of failure. Quitting isn't necessary. What matters is patience, resilience, discipline, and emotional control. Those who endure, who keep showing up despite fear, doubt, and frustration, are the ones who will succeed. Trading is a test of character, endurance, and persistence. It's not about speed. It's about who can withstand the journey and keep going long enough for knowledge, discipline, and skill to pay off. The market doesn't reward quitters. It rewards survivors. That's why most traders fail. They quit before success can find them. The cruel irony of trading is that many traders quit just when they are close to a breakthrough. They don't fail because they can't trade, but because their minds tell them that quitting is safer, easier, or more sensible than sticking with it. Every trader reaches a point where frustration peaks, losses stack up, and confidence takes a hit. It's at this moment that winners stand apart from quitters. Those who stick with it understand something many beginners don't. Trading is a mental game before it becomes a financial one. The charts, the candlesticks, and the patterns are just tools. The real struggle happens within your mind. Quitting occurs when you give up that internal battle. Consider a trader who has lost 3 trades in a row. On the surface, it's easy to blame the market. They may think it's manipulated, unfair, or that they are just unlucky. But these thoughts are excuses that distract from the real issue. Their mindset shifts from disciplined action to emotional reaction. Quitting seems appealing because it offers immediate relief from discomfort. However, it can destroy their potential. A profitable trader, the one who survives, views the same losses differently. They see data, probabilities, and patterns at play. They recognize that losing streaks are part of the process. They are unavoidable and temporary, not a reflection of their abilities or worth. This subtle shift in perspective, to view loss as information rather than judgment, is the mental change that fosters perseverance. Another reason traders quit is their inability to accept uncertainty. The market is unpredictable. Every trade carries risk, yet humans have a strong desire for control. We want predictable outcomes that match our desires, proof that our choices were right. When reality doesn't match expectations, frustration increases, making quitting seem justified. Survivors, on the other hand, learn to embrace uncertainty. They accept that losses are inevitable, no trade is guaranteed, and the only factors they can control are their execution, discipline, and emotional responses. Once they grasp this truth, fear loses its grip and quitting becomes less appealing. Many traders quit because they do not establish routines that build resilience. Trading is not a sporadic skill, it's a habit. Those who take a casual approach, skipping journaling, analysis, or preparation, leave themselves exposed to emotional wear. When a tough day occurs, they lack the mental buffer and the discipline needed to handle the impact. Quitting then becomes a way to cope. Successful traders know that the daily routine of studying charts, reviewing trades, and reflecting on mistakes creates a form of invisible protection. This protection prevents emotional reactions from dictating their actions and turns setbacks into lessons instead of triggers for giving up. Expectation management is another important factor. Beginners often set unrealistic goals. They envision making 6-figure profits in months, exponentially growing their accounts without mistakes or setbacks. The reality can be harsh. Losses happen, progress is slow, and emotional challenges persist. When expectations clash with reality, disillusionment sets in, and quitting seems reasonable. Profitable traders, however, align their expectations with reality. They understand that consistency, not speed, is crucial. They focus on gradual improvement, trade by trade, week by week, rather than chasing quick success. This alignment between expectation and reality serves as a mental shield against premature quitting. A common trend among those who quit is an obsession with outcomes rather than the process. Every trader wants results, profits, and account growth. But focusing solely on results breeds anxiety. Each losing trade feels like a personal failure, and every market shift appears catastrophic. Quitting feels like an escape from this pressure. Successful traders turn this perspective around. They focus on execution, following their rules, and mastering risk management. They know that if the process is sound, the results will come naturally over time. Losing the process is much more harmful than losing a single trade. Yet most beginners never grasp this. Isolation heightens the tendency to quit. Trading can be a lonely journey. Many beginners lack someone to share their fears, frustrations, or even successes with. Without support, self-doubt can spiral. Every mistake reinforces the feeling that they are incapable. Every small loss can feel unbearable. Those who endure find ways to counter isolation through mentorship, communities, forums, or disciplined journaling that allows them to track their growth objectively. Loneliness amplifies fear, while structured support offers clarity and courage. Quitting often doesn't happen when guidance and community are available. Greed is another hidden factor. Traders see opportunities and imagine the profits they could make if just one trade worked perfectly. They over-leverage, chase setups, and abandon risk rules. Losses accumulate and the dream of quick success fades, Frustration builds, making quitting seem like the only way out. Yet, it's the same greed that prevents them from seeing the gradual power of consistent, disciplined trading. Survivors learn to trade without tying their worth to immediate gains. They know that wealth in trading is built slowly and methodically, not by pursuing unrealistic fantasies. Self-sabotage often disguises itself as quitting. Traders tell themselves, "I need a break. I'll start fresh later. This isn't working for me." These justifications feel reasonable and even responsible, but they are simply mental tricks to escape fear, frustration, and failure. Traders who quit often don't realize they are choosing defeat that looks like a pause. Those who persist recognize these patterns and confront them. They can tell the difference between necessary breaks for mental clarity and excuses to avoid discomfort. The discipline to push through mental resistance is what sets the quitters apart from the achievers. The compounding nature of quitting is subtle but damaging. Each time a trader quits, they reinforce the belief that failure is permanent, that persistence is optional, and that they can't endure the process. Each surrender strengthens that neural pathway. Over time, quitting becomes a habit instead of an exception. In contrast, survivors train their minds to welcome challenges. Each setback is a lesson, and each loss becomes a stepping stone. Persistence becomes ingrained, almost instinctive. This mental conditioning is what enables them to achieve levels of success that quitters will miss. Perhaps the most overlooked aspect is self-awareness. Many traders do not take a close look at themselves. They fail to understand their emotional triggers, decision-making patterns, and cognitive biases. Without self-awareness, mistakes repeat endlessly, frustrations escalate, and quitting feels like the only answer since the root issues remain hidden. A trader who develops deep self-awareness can identify triggers, comprehend their emotional patterns, and implement strategies to address them. They turn reactive behaviors into proactive decision-making. This self-knowledge may be invisible to others, but it is crucial for survival. When a trader reaches the point where quitting feels tempting, they have already faced enough failure to either give up or grow. This moment highlights the difference between eventual success and lasting failure. Most traders do not fail because they can't grasp the market or execute trades, but because they misunderstand the struggle itself. The market is not a puzzle to be solved once. It's a teacher relentless and impartial, offering lessons in patience, discipline, and self-mastery repeatedly. Quitting at this stage is not a failure of intelligence, but of endurance. And endurance is a skill most beginners have yet to develop. Frustration at this level is almost a rite of passage. Losses pile up, confidence falters, and the mind starts to create excuses to quit. Maybe trading isn't for me, they think. I'll never get the hang of this. Each rationalization feels valid because it alleviates immediate discomfort. The market does not care about comfort. It rewards consistency and punishes emotional reactions. Profitable traders see frustration as a signal rather than a judgment. They recognize it as a natural response to growth, an indication that their limits are being challenged and mastery is just beyond the next hurdle. At this stage, self-doubt becomes a constant companion. Doubt seeps into every decision, coloring each trade with fear and hesitation. The trader hesitates to enter trades they would have confidently taken months earlier. They second-guess themselves, abandon strategies mid-execution, and let minor losses escalate into significant account damage. Doubt acts like a slow poison that undermines confidence. Without deliberate mental training, it convinces the trader that quitting is the only rational choice. Survivors, however, learn to view doubt as a consistent factor rather than a judgment of their skill. They train their minds to act even in high uncertainty, relying on their preparation and strategy instead of emotional certainty. One of the sneaky reasons traders quit is comparison. In the social media age, every loss seems magnified, and every profit feels small. Beginners scroll through edited highlights of other traders' successes, forgetting that these moments are often staged. They measure themselves against unrealistic standards and conclude they are failing. Successful traders stop seeking outside approval. They track their own metrics and measure growth against their past, focusing on process instead of what others think. By eliminating comparison, they remove one of the biggest mental triggers for quitting. Impatience is another silent enemy. Beginners believe that skills should lead to quick profits. Weeks without significant gains feel like failure. Losses hurt even more because they expect immediate results. Impatience makes every setback feel worse and reduces the time they are willing to stay in the game. Successful traders develop patience over time. They know that building skills, mastering emotions, and refining strategies take time. They measure success by gradual improvement, not instant rewards. Quitting becomes less appealing when they look at progress in the long run, rather than moment to moment. Financial pressure can heighten the desire to quit. Losses feel more severe when they affect real expenses, bills, or family needs. Each losing trade can trigger a mental spiral that makes quitting seem like the only choice. But successful traders keep risk and emotion separate. They trade within limits they can handle. They view drawdowns as temporary and adopt a mindset where losses serve as data, not judgments. Managing external pressure is as much a mental skill as chart reading, and those who fail to manage it often give up under their circumstances. Overtrading is both a symptom and a cause. Beginners trying to recover losses or chase profits make trades without discipline. They break their own rules, increase their stakes, and ignore market trends. The result is bigger losses, emotional stress, and the belief that quitting is necessary. Successful traders avoid this trap by sticking to strict rules, viewing overtrading as a loss of discipline, not skill. They realize that patience yields better results than frantic activity, and that the market rewards careful execution, not desperation. Isolation is also a key factor. Trading can feel lonely, and without someone to share experiences with, mistakes can loom large in the mind. Traders may start to feel uniquely inadequate, believing failure is personal rather than a shared experience. Successful traders seek advice, mentorship, or a community. They normalize discussions about mistakes and processes instead of just outcomes. By overcoming isolation, they lessen the emotional burden and the temptation to quit. Trading is not just technical, it involves social elements that strengthen resilience. The emotional cycle of hope and despair can be relentless. After a series of losses, even a single win feels like a lifeline, only to be followed by another setback. This cycle trains the mind to look for relief through quitting. Survivors learn to detach from individual results and focus on the overall path. They view every win or loss as data rather than a reflection of their value. By separating emotions from outcomes, they prevent temporary fluctuations from influencing long-term decisions. Quitting seems illogical when they analyze each trade objectively. Another often ignored factor is the narrative. Many beginners create a story about themselves that encourages quitting. They think, I'm unlucky, I'll never get it. The markets are against me. This narrative becomes self-fulfilling because the mind looks for proof of it. Successful traders actively reshape their internal stories. They see setbacks as lessons, mistakes as temporary, and skills as ones they can improve. They hold on to the belief that they can master trading through persistence and practice. This mental shift acts as protection against giving up. Risk perception is a subtle battlefield. Beginners often misjudge or exaggerate risk, becoming either paralyzed by fear or reckless with denial. Both extremes set the stage for quitting to seem like the sensible choice. Profitable traders gain a balanced view of risk. They quantify it, manage it, and respect it without fear. With effective risk management, they can absorb losses without emotional breakdowns, making quitting less of a necessary escape. A deeper reason traders quit is their inability to handle discomfort. Trading is uncomfortable by nature. Losses hurt, uncertainty remains, and the mind constantly seeks assurance. Beginners tend to shy away from discomfort, looking for reassurance, confirmation, or quick relief. Survivors learn to view discomfort as a sign of growth, endure mental strain, prolonged drawdowns, and repeated failures, recognizing that discomfort is part of skill development and lasting success. Finally, traders who persist look beyond immediate concerns. They know each session, every trade, and each loss contributes to a skill set that grows over time. Those who quit focus on immediate pain and miss the bigger picture. The successful trader keeps vision, patience, and discipline long after the emotional urges to quit arise. They realize quitting just before achieving mastery is the ultimate form of self-sabotage. They understand that endurance, not luck, is what helps them thrive in trading. Success in trading typically unfolds quietly and slowly. Those who quit never witness it because they stop too early. Those who endure turn frustration into motivation, losses into lessons, and pressure into persistence. The market reveals mental weaknesses faster than technical flaws. Quitting is the default reaction for those unprepared to endure, while survivors build resilience, focus, and self-awareness. They push through when quitting seems inevitable, and this choice sets apart eventual winners from those who give up too soon. Mastery in trading is more about mindset than strategy. Strategies can be learned and charts can be analyzed, but the mind must be disciplined, resilient, and adaptable. Quitting happens when the mind fears discomfort, resists uncertainty, and overvalues short-term results. Persistence comes from training the mind to endure, concentrating on process, and accepting setbacks as part of growth. Quitting guarantees failure, while endurance opens up opportunities. Those who grasp this and act on it consistently achieve a level of success that quitters only dream about. The market is tough but fair. It does not reward impatience or giving up. It does not punish those who persist, learn, and adjust. Most traders quit because they don't understand that mastery is a long-term journey, not a quick race. The few who stick it out do so because they realize quitting is a choice, not a requirement. Their mindset, more than any trade, determines their success. By the time a trader reaches the 6th stage of this journey, the pain of repeated failures becomes almost tangible. Every loss, each emotional upheaval, and every moment of doubt leaves a mark. The mind starts to amplify doubts over any sign on the chart, and it can feel like quitting is not just an option, but the only outcome. Yet, this stage is where critical psychological growth can take place. The gap between those who ultimately succeed and those who quit is not about skill, intelligence, or luck. It's about the ability to face their limits without letting them dictate their actions. Most traders never reach this point because they give up too soon. They cannot endure the monotony of repeated mistakes, the steady loss of confidence, or the constant confrontation with uncertainty. Trading is less about being correct and more about persisting in the face of being wrong. It involves executing a solid plan repeatedly while knowing that losses will happen, that emotions will rise, and that comfort will remain elusive. Those who quit at this stage misinterpret discomfort as failure. They see struggle as a sign of incapability, while in fact, struggle often indicates that growth is on the horizon. At this point, the mental strain is made worse by how they perceive time. Beginners want swift improvement, speedy gains, and clear results. When these expectations don't line up, they panic. The market does not follow anyone's timeline. It is indifferent, cyclical, and patiently frustrating. Traders who survive learn to accept this truth. They rethink their view of progress. They focus not on quick rewards, but on steady improvements in their process, discipline, and emotional control. They define success by how well they manage their mindset, not by immediate profits. Isolation remains a subtle but dangerous force. Trading is often done alone, and without outside validation or guidance, failures can feel magnified. The mind creates stories that reinforce the idea of giving up. I'm the only one failing like this, or the markets are impossible to read. These thoughts create a psychological echo chamber where despair can grow unchecked. Successful traders address this by seeking out communities, mentors, or even informal peer networks. By sharing experiences, discussing strategies, and validating each other's struggles, they relieve the pressure that could otherwise lead to giving up. Once confronted, isolation loses its power to undermine resolve. Emotional attachment to trades is another common issue at this stage. Beginners often become too invested in outcomes instead of the process. A single losing trade can feel disastrous, leading to fear, anger, or self-blame. They may start to overanalyze, overtrade, and chase outcomes that are beyond their control. Experienced traders learn to separate themselves from individual results. They stick to their strategy, accept that losses are a normal part of doing business, and focus on consistency instead of perfection. Emotional detachment doesn't eliminate risk, but it helps curb the urge to quit under pressure. Financial pressure often peaks during this time. Losses affecting real-life responsibilities, such as rent, bills, or family obligations, can make trading feel like an impossible burden. Quitting seems reasonable, even responsible. Meanwhile, profitable traders handle this pressure through foresight. They only trade with money they can afford to lose. They keep trading capital separate from living expenses and have backup plans. By managing outside stress, they maintain mental clarity and prevent emotions from pushing them to quit. Survival depends as much on preparation and risk management as it does on executing strategies. Impatience acts as a silent foe. Beginners often expect their skills to translate into quick profits, underestimating the gradual benefits of experience and mental training. They link a series of losses to personal failure, making each small setback feel much worse. Those who persist develop patience over time. They recognize that every trade, loss, and lesson contributes to their overall improvement. They focus on the journey instead of just the outcome, reducing the impulse to quit when they shift their perspective toward long-term growth. One of the hidden challenges at this stage is cognitive distortion. Traders can convince themselves that success means being perfect, that mistakes are unacceptable, and that any straying from the plan justifies quitting. Profitable traders learn to accept imperfection, assess mistakes objectively, drawing lessons without casting moral judgments. They see trading as a continuous learning process, where mistakes are inevitable. Mastery comes not from avoiding errors, but from handling them well when they happen. By viewing failure as information rather than condemnation, they neutralize the mental triggers that make quitting seem logical. Another issue is the repetition of thoughts that reinforce giving up. Beginners may tell themselves, "I can't do this anymore," or "I'm just not meant for trading." These thoughts cycle back every time they face losses or high anxiety. Traders who survive actively replace these negative scripts with affirmations that promote persistence. This is part of the process. Every loss teaches me something. I can improve through disciplined practice. Changing the internal dialogue is crucial, because the mind tends to follow the narratives it hears. Positive thoughts build resilience, while negative ones lead to giving up. Overtrading often reveals desperation at this stage. Beginners may try to chase losses, justify impulsive decisions, or rush their progress. Overtrading can worsen losses, escalate emotions, and often result in severe consequences that reinforce the belief that quitting is necessary. Profitable traders resist the urge to overtrade by sticking to strict rules, properly sizing their positions, and valuing patience more than activity. They understand that restraint, not aggression, protects their capital and helps avoid mental breakdowns. The emotional ups and downs are unending, and provide temporary relief, only to be followed by new stress from losses. This cycle trains the mind to seek escape through quitting. Traders learn to detach from individual outcomes, viewing trades as data points rather than measures of self-worth. They maintain perspective over weeks and months, preventing short-term fluctuations from prompting permanent decisions. Emotional resilience is the foundation that helps them endure the toughest times in trading. Comparing themselves to others remains a risky trigger. In today's digital world, traders are constantly seeing their peers' successes. Beginners misinterpret these curated highlights as standards, leading to feelings of inadequacy. This comparison breeds anxiety, envy, and often quitting. Survivors ignore comparisons as a way to evaluate themselves. They focus on personal growth, sticking to their processes, and making gradual improvements. By controlling what they measure, they manage their emotional responses and lessen the temptation to give up. At this stage, traders begin to understand the idea of compounding, not just in profits, but also in personal growth. Each lesson learned, emotional challenge overcome, and rules successfully followed adds up to a stronger, more disciplined mindset. Those who quit never see this cumulative effect because giving up halts their progress. Traders who endure realize that the unseen gains in mindset and discipline are as valuable, if not more so, than any immediate profit. The mental edge they build grows alongside their technical abilities, laying the groundwork for long-term success. Ultimately, the choice to continue or quit is a conscious one faced repeatedly. Each day, every trade, and every setback presents a choice to give up or to endure. Profitable traders consistently choose to endure. They do this not because they lack fear, but because they have learned to act despite it. They recognize that the market rewards skill over emotion, that expertise develops over time, and that persistence is the best indicator of success. Quitting is the easy choice, while endurance is the learned response. Those who cultivate the latter eventually achieve results that many others give up on before reaching. Trading is more a psychological battle than a technical one. At this crucial stage, most beginners face the deepest psychological challenges of this craft: fear, doubt, impatience, and the weight of repeated failures. The market doesn't care about your feelings, is neutral and unforgiving, and it won't wait for you to catch up. Impatience and weakness get punished. Those who build mental toughness and stay committed are rewarded. Quitting might feel good at the moment, but it ensures you'll never reach your goals. Choosing to push through is uncomfortable, frustrating, and slow, but it's the only way to succeed. The people who understand this, accept it, and keep showing up are the ones who stand out. In the end, the difference between giving up and thriving comes down to your mindset.